Hi, everybody. Welcome back to In Real Life with Nik, or IRL with Nik. We are continuing our Mother's Day podcast with my oldest. And without further ado, let's have her introduce herself.
Hello, everyone. I'm Sam. I also have a Twitch called Bumblebee Brat, and you can also follow me on TikTok and X with the same name, Bumblebee Brat.
Very cool. We'll talk more about that stuff later. So, just like with Reese's, we have questions for each other. She knows what my questions are, but I don't know what her answers or reactions are, and vice versa. I know what some of her questions are, but she hasn't heard my answers, so you're getting real reactions in real time. So, let's get started. Now, let's get into real life. Ready?
Yeah.
Okay. How would you describe your personality?
Pretty quiet when you first meet me, but I'm actually pretty goofy and loud.
Once you get comfortable with somebody, for sure.
Yeah.
Yeah. Okay. How would you describe my personality?
You're pretty easy to get along with, so I guess that'd be charismatic.
Yeah.
Would be the word for that.
Yeah. What's your favorite thing about me?
How selfless you are. You always put people before yourself.
Yes. Okay. What is your least favorite thing about me? Scared.
Probably your lack of confidence in yourself. While you portray being this really outgoing and confident person, you actually struggle with, how your image and things like that.
Yeah, I do. I don't think I used to when I was like your age or even like into my 20s and 30s. But as I've gotten older, I can say that has made a switch for me. Maybe it's the whole aging process. I don't know, but definitely have lost some confidence along the way. I'm really anxious too now, which I used to never be that way. And so I think that doesn't help. Do you think I'm strict on a scale of 1 to 10?
7.
Okay.
I mean, everything is pretty reasonable and you know when you need to put your foot down. So I wouldn't say we're the strictest of households, but we also don't let things, pass all the time.
No, we don't. I agree with that. What's your favorite thing about my parenting style? No. Do you have a favorite thing about my parenting style? Oh, whoa.
I like that you want to talk about things with us, whether it's talking through a chore and how to do it or just talking through feelings.
Yeah.
Stuff like that.
I think
communication.
I think we're a really open family. We talk about everything and anything with each other. And we've always included you girls in the difficult conversations with finances or major life events or moving or anything of the sort. I think that's been kind of the key with our parenting style, is to be completely transparent and honest with you guys with everything going on in life.
Yeah.
Okay. Why don't you ask me a question?
Alrighty. What was the biggest challenge of becoming a mother?
Wow. I don't remember knowing about that question. Well, back in that day, 18 years ago, I knew that I didn't want to quit my job, that I still wanted to have a job and have my identity outside of my household. So your father and I knew that I would continue on with my career, but I still wanted to be a very active mother. And me never being a mother prior to that seemed doable, right? Like it's doable. You just have to make some sacrifices along the way. Do I wish that I could have maybe gone back in time and changed it to where I was at home with you for longer and more often? Absolutely. And the other side of that is, I think it was difficult for me when I had both of you girls and trying to be pulled in 2 different directions, but I was constantly needing to put my effort and my time and everything into Reese being the baby. I think that you made sacrifices at a young age, at 7 years old, where mom didn't have maybe the capacity to show you the attention you needed at 7 years old. So I think that made you grow up quick. and you became a great older sister. So I don't know that we can say there's regrets there. I just wish if I had a chance to go back in time, I could change a few things.
Right. Like, just spend more time.
Yeah.
I get it.
Yeah.
What is your biggest pet peeve?
Wow. Biggest pet peeve is probably people being sheep today and not doing their own research, not spending the time to make the right decisions for their families, being fully informed, being fully involved in the decisions that are in everyday life. Like I think that we have a society that puts their trust into things that are maybe false or not necessarily truthful with us all the time. And yeah, do your own research.
Yeah, everybody's just kind of follow the lead right now. They see one thing and they immediately assume that's it. That's all there is to it, when there's more to the story.
Absolutely.
Most of the time.
And hey, I can even admit, like, your dad and I sit around and question some of the things that we've been taught or been told through history, and then realize that they're not necessarily correct. And it really makes you stop and think about, was everything a lie? And it makes you want to start diving deeper into research and figuring things out for yourself. I encourage it.
Okay. What's your favorite way to spend a day to yourself?
To myself?
Mm-hmm.
I don't have those. I would say I don't know, because Mom at this stage, like, I feel like I'm not getting anything accomplished if I'm just relaxing, even though that's something that most people need and should do, is just take a day and relax. But I want to clean, or I want to sit back and do my makeup, or I want to listen to podcasts, or every minute that I'm away from you girls or my husband is a minute that I feel like it's not being spent worthy, if that makes sense. I want to spend time with my family. That's actually where I'm the happiest.
Right.
I don't like being alone.
If you could go anywhere, where would it be and why?
I would probably want to take you girls to South Korea, because these kids have a bit of an obsession with Korean pop, K-pop.
Just very minuscule.
Yeah, not
big or anything.
No. So I would love just to see the excitement and the joy of you guys getting to see a dream of yours. If it was just your dad, I would say I would go to Australia, because he's been there and he loves it there, and I would love to go see it.
Australia sounds nice until you see all the critters.
The critters that are monsters in Australia.
Actually huge.
Yes, they are.
Alrighty.
You ready for me to ask something?
Yeah.
If we were to get matching tattoos, what would they be?
Probably like a rose.
Okay.
Of some sort. Maybe, we've talked about this previously, whether it was a cross or some rose to represent, past family members. So.
And the colors that would represent.
The colors that would represent them.
Yeah, purple for my sister, red for my dad.
Yeah.
Yeah, I agree. Your sister also told me in her podcast that she'd want to get a cross. So maybe that's something all three of us can do together at some point, when Reese's old enough, of course. But
right, that's a few years from now. We got 6 years.
I will tell you, it'll be here in a flash. Do you have an embarrassing mom story? Wait, limit it to one, please.
Okay. Now I gotta think.
That's good that you don't have one just right off the top of your head.
Well, they happen, just not very often.
Wow.
Not so much a mom moment as it is a parenting moment, and not necessarily that was embarrassing for you, but rather that it was for me. At car shows, Mom and Dad are always pointing out a bunch of guys, and they're like, "Hey, you should go talk to him." That's pretty embarrassing.
Well, yeah, but the reality is your world is weird right now. Like, you guys don't know how to socialize, especially coming out of COVID. Like, she'll see a group of people, or she might find somebody attractive, And her and I talk about these things when we're out together. We like to point these things out for each other. And it's like, go talk to him, go introduce yourself. And she just gets all up inside of herself and doesn't want to do it. So keep trying to encourage her to get out there and introduce herself and meet people and make friends. It's been a process.
Yeah.
Yeah. Well, and I will share something embarrassing because it's an embarrassing mom. It's not an embarrassing mom moment, but it's my job to share your embarrassing moments too. So if you happen to be a strong Asian man within her age group, what's your age group? 18 to 25, maybe 24?
Probably, yeah. Around
18. Send me your information because you got a heck of a shot with this one. She's got a type.
Bleep. You didn't hear any of that? Nope.
Okay. What do you wish you could talk to me about, and what would make it hard for you to talk to me about it?
This was something that happened a while ago now, but for the longest time, we didn't talk about it. After graduating and losing the social life that I had in high school, I became very lonely.
Mm-hmm.
And so that resorted to me going online.
Yeah.
And interacting with people, which obviously had its benefits. I have some good friends on there now, but it's not the same. And, not the same as going and talking to people in person.
Mm-hmm.
So last night we just went out to a car show and I saw a friend of mine from elementary school and we met up with her group of friends. And that was probably the first time in a month that I had true.
I think it's probably been longer
social.
than that.
I mean, other car
events,
stuff,
maybe.
But
yeah, so she enjoys cars too. Well, the whole family enjoys cars. So we do a lot of the car shows. They have meetups here. It's very popular here in Ohio. And so we actually go out on a Friday or Saturday night, and it's usually really late at night. So I don't know what you guys do with your kids, but literally last night at 10 o'clock, I considered going live at a car meet because Dad and I were walking around. We're like, we've got to be the oldest people here.
There was a couple other people, but yeah, it was pretty much teenagers to people in their 30s.
Yeah. And there was a lot of noise, and there were a lot of unique smells, if you catch my drift.
Yeah.
It's fun.
Contact high.
Yeah, a little bit. It was
small.
It was fun. I mean, we do love our cars, so it was nice to get out with the weather being nicer and check out everybody's vehicles. And of course, with our Bumblebee, we get a lot of attention too, and show off our car a bit and have a little bit of fun and then come home.
Yep.
How would you describe yourself to a new person? And how would you describe me to a new person?
Okay, for me, I'd say independent, strong, and caring.
Mm-hmm.
For you, I'd say selfless.
Mm-hmm.
You mentioned that earlier. Very loving and nurturing.
Oh, thank you. I thought you were going to maybe throw in emotional, but guess that comes along with it.
Both of us.
I know. I think it comes with it. And at some point, I know you'll have me in tears, and either on this podcast or I'll be a crying mess on one of them, I'm sure. So just brace yourself.
Give me a few minutes. No, I'm kidding.
Yeah, I know. Yeah, exactly. That's the other thing. It's I found with age, it's if I really care about something, the tears will flow. If I've given up and walked away from something, you will see no emotion from me. It's I've literally closed the door on it and moved on from it. So, yeah. Well, I'm glad to know that my legal disclaimer is actually pretty clean from you. So I appreciate that. How do you feel about being a young adult, and what scares you about growing up?
So far, being a young adult's fine.
It's fine. It's fine, Mom.
It's just fine.
I'm fine.
It's just learning to find what you want to do, mainly.
Mm-hmm.
So, I don't
Finding what you want to do, like, for the rest of your life.
Yeah. Whether for a lot of people that's going straight into college and, going after a career. For me, it's staying home and helping family business.
Yeah.
So,
Yeah. So, I mean, you guys are going to get to know kind of how I feel about things, how my husband feels about things. But we were not those parents that were ready to push our kid out of the house once she graduated. Instead, we're the opposite. Let's all stick together and let's create something of our own that we can build a legacy upon and leave to our children. And that's kind of been our focus. And, it's not saying that she won't go to college at some point. I'm still encouraging that with her. But she graduated young, a year younger than most of the kids in her class. So I don't think it would have been fair of us in this world currently to just say, all right, you're on your own. Now go to college. Let's see if you can make it. It was the opposite. We were both, Danny and I both were just like, let's just maybe take some time until you figure out what it is you want to do.
Yeah.
No pressure. And maybe it's trade school. Maybe it's going to be something completely off the wall. And we want to be supportive of that too, because not everybody has to go to college. I think there's a real focus on sending our kids to college and they come out so in debt and they're paying back debt for most of their lives. And then most of them don't even end up working in that field.
Yeah.
So, yeah, it'll come when it's supposed to. So,
yeah.
So that already answered that question. My next one was, are you feeling a rush to go to college? What is your favorite or earliest childhood memory?
Gotta really think back on this one.
You're not that old yet.
Yeah, I know.
Now ask me a childhood memory and I'm going to sit here and it's just going to start turning.
I think, okay, I'm going to put 2.
Okay.
Because one involves Dad and one involves you.
Okay.
For Dad, he was working from home. You were off at work.
Mm-hmm.
And he was on a call and we're walking around the backyard and there's a little baby robin.
Yes.
That, fell out of his nest, lost its family. And so we took it in. We made it a little nest and we took care of it. It kept trying to eat my hair. And then for you, it'd probably be...
Wait, you got to finish that story too, because I think the cutest thing is that Dad took you inside and you guys played Angry Birds for the rest of the afternoon.
Yeah, after we made the nest and he got off the work call, we're like, all right. The nerves, and I was a crying mess too for a lot of it because I was like, Dad, you gotta pay attention. There's a baby bird. Gotta help him. And so, after that, we went inside and played Angry Birds.
That's pretty cute.
Yeah.
All right, and for me?
So, for you, probably we were on the boat and I was cold or the wind was bothering my eyes or something.
Mm-hmm.
But I think this is my first memory of when we started doing the towels over my whole body type thing. I would just lay there and be like, are we going back? What's going on? I'm kind of sleepy.
What, I just covered you up with a towel?
Mm-hmm.
Yeah. That's pretty simple.
Nurturing them.
Yeah. Yep. If you could be an animal, any animal, which one would it be and why?
Probably be a lion or a panther. Lion because they're the only cats in a pack. And they're pretty cool. There's the leader, the dad, and, the mom who's still pretty awesome protector and nurturer. And panthers just look badass.
They do. They do.
If I could be a panther but have the pack of a lion, I'd be happy.
I like that.
Yep.
I do like them. They just look mean.
They do.
And the pretty blue eyes on some of them, it's just like, yeah, you're kind of like the perfect animal.
Mm-hmm.
Let's see, I lost my track here on my questions. How do you feel about current and popular artists changing their music to more of the dark side? This seems to be a hot topic lately.
Yeah.
So.
don't listen to, main pop media thing or even rapping, any genre of music really anymore. Unless it's K-pop.
Unless it's K-pop.
But whenever I do catch it, or Reese will still listen to it, or TikTok, the trendy side of things, like, it sucks because on one hand they're catchy, on the other hand you find out what they actually mean or meaning behind the lyrics, and you're like, oh, it makes you think twice about what you're actually listening to.
And when we've talked about it, you've made a good point. It's starting to all sound the same.
Yes.
It's like they're not being creative enough in their own music these days. It's like they're starting to remake more of the old stuff, or everybody's saying the same thing, and it's not really even entertaining anymore.
Yep. You're either getting auto-tuned rap or just like this same sounding pop music. So like it.
Agreed. Yep. Okay. What do you wish you could talk to me about? Or we already did this one. What do you think is the purpose of life?
To spread some sort of truth or love while you're on the planet. So if that's having an effect on someone's life, telling them a truth or opening up to a new perspective, or if that's having children or taking care of family and spreading love, I feel like that's probably...
I agree.
That's probably it.
I agree, because I think that if you spread love, it becomes contagious.
Yeah.
And our world could use a lot more of that, for sure, right now. How do you think technology is changing the way we live?
It's been both very beneficial in the way of making living easier.
Mm-hmm.
Whether that's just having the dictionary in your hand, or cooking and TV's entertainment, things like that. On the other hand, you have false media and just brain rot.
Fake media? We have fake media.
Who would have guessed?
I guess that orange man knows what he's talking about. Anyway, in that topic, like, obviously there's been a lot of talk lately about Travis Becker's speech at the Catholic school, and I was really proud of you for some of the conversations you had online. I could learn a lot from you on how you handled things. And Mom also didn't step in because, like, you're a young adult now. You've got to figure things out for your own. But the way that you were so respectful with people, saying that you should probably listen to his speech and not necessarily just reading the transcript of his speech, because you're going to interject your own personal thoughts and opinions on text that you read, but actually watch it and see his emotion and hit where he pauses in his wording. And how do you feel about his speech?
On one hand, I was confused, but I also was grateful in his message. I was confused because, we're not Catholic.
Yep.
I don't necessarily understand all of the
Teachings
hierarchies and
yes.
the teachings of Catholics. However, the message behind it about, at the start, he was congratulating people for pursuing their passions, but also making an speech of importance of how important family is.
Mm-hmm.
The whole controversy behind it was calling his wife a homemaker.
Yeah.
And he wasn't being disrespectful towards her at all. He was honoring her, talking about how blessed he felt. And
that she made that sacrifice for their family, for him, so that he could focus on his career. And
right. And he asked her if she regrets the choice, and he quotes it in his speech. She says, heck no. Probably not heck no. Probably says the other
something
word,
else.
But, public speech, so.
Yeah. So the whole thing that's gotten blown up, that is, like you pointed out online, and that's why I wanted to ask you about this particular incident, is because she pointed out to her friends that she was talking to that he never once said that women should be in the kitchen barefoot and pregnant. He never once said that. It was a part of something that mainstream media took a hold of, grabbed, and blew out of proportion and just started posting it on all of our social media.
Yep. Unless you went to the original university where they posted his speech after it and watched and listened to the whole speech, it's probably unlikely that you actually got the full grasp of what he was actually talking about or saying, or even the full truth, because they just pick out pieces that they know they can twist.
Yeah. And I think we've got to, as a world at some point, get back to that point where we were able to respect each other for our differences instead of attacking and trying to cancel someone because of their differences. You know, and it seems like Christianity is extremely under attack today. They're calling us domestic terrorists and everything else under the sun, which is the complete opposite of what we believe in. We love our country. We love our family. We, love our 10 Commandments and morals and all of those things, but we're also very forgiving people. And I wouldn't say we're judgmental. It's just that we have a standard of life that we want to live. And we don't want anybody messing with our standard of life. If we're not messing with yours, don't mess with ours. Don't label us something that we're not. And, get back to our freedoms of being able to have the freedom of speech, freedom of religion. Those things matter. And attacking somebody, it took the Missouri Attorney General to step in and point out this man has freedom of religion. They had petitions against him losing his job and trying to cancel him. And at some point, that all needs to end, because I think what's going to happen, and kind of what I hope happens, is more little people like me and like you raise our voices and make a change for the better. Because I think we've been silenced for way too long.
Yep.
Got a question for me?
Oh, yeah, I do. What popular song annoys you the most?
Well, I used to like Doja Cat, but it's almost like Doja Cat, Cardi B, Nicki Minaj, like all those three, for whatever reason, they have songs that I like, and Lil Nas, honestly, they have songs that I like, but now when they come on the radio, I don't really want to listen to them because the messaging that they're putting behind their music.
I can, for Doja Cat, the main one that even sparked controversy between her fans was Paint the Town Red.
Yeah, that one's, and it's what's sad is that it's the music alone is very trendy and you want to listen to it, but the wording is what.
It was very satanical, and she admits in that song that she'd rather be famous instead or over her fans and things like that.
Mm-hmm.
And just Sam Smith's Unholy.
Yep.
Where he used to make gospel songs, it's just complete 180.
Yep. It's very confusing.
It makes you question what's actually going on in their lives, or if they're just going with the trends to make some money.
Yeah, and then you got to teach your children morals too. Do you really want to put yourself through the mind scramble that comes along with listening to their music when your beliefs don't align to theirs, and they've obviously changed just to make an extra dollar, or to hit that mainstream media that's just going to blow them up and help them earn more money? At some point, you just not necessarily cancel them, but it's just not for us. You fast forward. Sometimes you're going to skip them. Sometimes you're going to listen to them. That's not how strict we are here, but I think it's important to teach kids that it's okay to discern.
Yeah. What's one movie that you could play over and over again?
I used to always answer this with Sweet Home Alabama with Reese Witherspoon because it kind of cracked me up. It kind of reminded me of how I grew up. Still one of my top favorite movies. But a close second would probably be the original Transformers movie. Well, and that's probably because I think I was pretty much giving birth to you during that movie.
Yeah.
You entered this world as a microcosm of Bumblebee, basically.
Yeah. So, Pitterman.
Yep, and Pitterman. I watched Spider-Man. Spider-Man and Transformers on repeat for the whole first probably 6 years of your life. And we still do it.
Yes. At least, once a month, one of those movies are put on the TV.
Or Pacific Rim is another one.
Pacific Rim, which
I think we've watched that at least a dozen times.
I recommend if you like Transformers and you haven't watched it yet, or even if you like Godzilla, this is the better Godzilla.
Yeah, I agree. How do you think your upbringing has influenced who you are today?
I think that it has made me, or taught me to think for myself.
Mm-hmm.
Whereas a lot of people go with what's directly in front of them, I take the time to think about all my options.
Mm.
And sometimes that's to my own demise, and I end up stressing myself out.
Yeah.
But
really, Peaches?
puppy. But it's helped me make the hard decisions I needed to in high school.
Yeah.
With band and DAC, which we can get into more of that in some other podcast.
Yeah, we've got a lot to discuss on that.
But just helped me shape who I am with how independent I am and
how close we all are.
yeah, how close we are.
Yeah.
That's a good way to put it.
Well, what is the most significant decision you've had to make in your life so far?
Do. Originally, I probably would have, because I did before, would have answered band or DAC. But the more I think about it, I think it was making a decision between starting this with you guys, the podcast, the streaming, versus continuing school. Because everyone else around me was going to college or going into some sort of education after high school.
And it left you feeling even more so alone.
Yep. So it was the decision to what do I think is most important for me, my family, and my career.
Yeah. So even as a young lady, I guess you can take some of Travis Butker's advice. Follow your heart. Do what's on your heart. Because that's all you need to do is follow that path. Your key to happiness is making sure you're truly making yourself happy and not everybody else happy around you. And so even though you're expected to go to college right away, Mom and Dad are both very thankful that that's not the choice you chose right away. Because it is enabling us to do this and just have more time together and put ourselves into a situation that one day when you are ready, you are prepared and you feel good about it.
Yep.
And not pressured and pushed by a school system to raise their numbers and their statistics. You are not theirs, you are ours. And so it's good that you've put that focus there. We're proud of you for that.
Thank you.
I guess this is kind of monotonous or the same thing, but what is the most important lesson that you've learned?
I mean, we touched on it, but be true to yourself.
Yep.
A lot of stuff in society is different now than it was 5, 10,
shoot, even 2 years.
2 years ago. You know, the pressures are different. You know, growing up is different.
Yeah.
So just be true to yourself. Make sure you have a support system.
Yep.
Family, friends, whatever it is.
Yep.
To help you.
Okay. If you could have one superpower, what would it be?
Be invisible so I can rob a bank. No,
I'm telling you, that child. That's why you're not really leaving the house. I need you here as backup. For Reese.
No, I'd be Speed. So I can help get away.
Oh, yeah, right.
Now,
maybe you're the getaway driver for my little bank robber.
Yeah. Getaway driver.
Fantastic.
You know, I could race the cars.
That's great. Okay.
Race the motorcycles.
Something tells me we need to move on. Well, I am scared to ask that question that's next. If you could be invisible for one single day, what would you do and why? And you can't answer rob a bank.
Look at the lottery numbers.
Ooh, that'd be good. Although that is a form of robbery, but still.
What people don't know won't hurt them.
That's
okay?
exactly what Reese said about robbing a bank. Wow.
You and me, Sam.
You guys are ride or dies.
Yeah.
All right. Who would you rather have lunch with? Eric Nam, V from BTS, a Tease member, a Tease is a K-pop group, but I can't remember which one she likes, or Ryan Reynolds.
Contrary to what you guys would believe, I'd go to lunch with Ryan Reynolds.
Why? Why? I mean, your opportunity to have that strong Asian man is right there at lunch.
It is. However, I think our communication would be impaired.
It's possible.
Obvious thing, Korean versus English.
There's a translator on your phone you could always utilize.
But next thing you know, I've said some inappropriate, super offensive word to them without even realizing
that you did.
So.
Okay. Ryan Reynolds is pretty entertaining anyway. So, and mom and dad like him. Love that he's with Blake Lively and that they've had such a long, successful marriage, in considering that they're in Hollywood most of the time. So, something to be respectful toward.
Yep.
Okay. What do you got for me?
That was, I have more questions, but they might break the animosity of family. So
we can try it. I can help fill that out. Mom's pushing her.
Well, I'm worried about making this super long.
It's okay. We're good. The time's right up there.
Mm-hmm.
It's good.
Okay.
Okay. Okay.
You asked me this earlier. What's the first thing you can remember about your childhood? So
I have to really think about this, because when I think about my childhood, not one instance sticks out. It's a multitude of things. I can remember playing on our swing set in the backyard with my sisters, or particular pets come to mind that I had as I was growing up, or spending time with my grandmother and taking care of our chores at her house because my dad had a bunch of beagles he had. And so, being around my grandmother, helping with those chores, lots of things stick out in church, attending church with my best friend and with my aunt. My grandma and my aunt always made sure I attended church. Those are some good memories I have.
What's one thing you want people to remember about you?
That I cared enough to make an impact. Hopefully one day I will feel as though I've made some sort of impact. Obviously having my children, I feel like I've impacted the world already in a positive way, just having you and Racy, because you guys are such amazing human beings. But I don't know. Honestly, as a mom, I look at it maybe I'll be remembered for having two amazing kids. See, she got me to cry. Okay, that's enough of your questions. Are you done with all your questions?
Yeah.
Okay. You sure?
Yeah.
What is your favorite beauty product?
So
here we go with the Korean.
Big into Korean skincare.
Yep.
Now, it is actually fact that Korean skincare is really good.
It's cleaner.
It's cleaner.
And they have a different set of laws and rules over there for their skincare and makeup.
Yes. And my favorite one that I'm currently using would be a sunscreen called Centella, which is by a company called Skin 1007, I think.
Are they Korean, or is it just
normal? They're Korean skincare.
Okay.
It's like a light moisturizer that has sunscreen in it. And you think that that would be something really simple that you could find anywhere, but
it's not.
It's not. It was...
Sunscreen breaks a lot of people out, too.
Yeah. It was light. It didn't break me out or make me oily or things like that. It's really good.
Yeah. And you really like your we bought her some Korean skincare at Christmas time. Hello, puppies. We bought her some skincare from Korea. It's a Korean skincare line for Christmas, and it really did work for her. It's been a really good product for her. So if you guys are interested in the name of that, just message me and I'll be happy to send you what we sent her. But for all your teenage daughters out there who are maybe struggling with skin issues of any type, maybe give it a try and see if it helps. There's all kinds of, and the other thing about it is they're all very affordable.
Yes, they are.
I mean, in comparison to some of the companies that we're supporting here in the States, the Korean skincare is very affordable in comparison. Tell me something that makes you happy.
You guys?
Your family?
My family?
Our little alliance pack?
Yep. Even when we annoy each other because we're around each other 24/7.
I'm going to let you finish that.
You guys are my top supporters.
Yeah, always
We're
will be.
always there for each other.
Yep.
And we're very close-knit.
Yep.
And
I think we've had to be throughout the years
Yeah.
because we've not had a support structure outside of my sister and her husband and family. We haven't had a support structure on either side, mine or dad's side, for most of our marriage and definitely through raising you girls. And so that's kind of the other goal for Dad and I is let's keep our little family unit knit together, strong and tight, and be there to break the cycle from what we've had to endure over our years. I want to be the most annoying grandmother. I want to be in my grandkids' lives to where you tell me I have to leave and I tell you, no, you got to make me. I mean, that's what I want. When we think about retirement, it's like we, of course, want to do our traveling and things that we want to do for ourselves, but it's really going to be about being there for you girls and our grandkids. So, yeah. Do you have a secret skill or talent that nobody knows about you?
I can move my ear up and down.
Mm-hmm.
I don't know if people will be able to see it on the screen.
Do it again.
But
I see it.
But when I was in elementary, was it kindergarten?
It was kindergarten. It was the very first, you girls in your kindergarten experiences.
Yeah, in kindergarten, I dropped a piece of paper on the ground, and when I went to pick it up, I sliced my ear.
She tripped and fell on the table.
Yeah, on the corner of the table. And that made me really consciously aware of the muscles and stuff around my ear, because depending on how I would move it, it would hurt.
Yeah.
So that made me very conscious.
I mean, you did get 4 stitches with no anesthesia. So yeah, that was probably enough to have you remember for a lifetime. Don't trip and fall over a piece of paper.
Yeah. On a rubber-edged table, might I add.
Yeah, it was a phone call that I wouldn't want to relive. Your daughter's here. She's been hurt. She's bleeding really badly. Do you want us to get an ambulance or are you going to come pick her up and take her to the hospital? I'll be right there.
On the other hand, that's the worst school injury I've had. So
knock on wood, we got her through the rest of her years. What do you think? This is a serious question, and we're almost done with all my questions, but what do you think is the biggest issue that teenagers are facing right now in our world?
Lack of socialization. We talked about this a bit earlier. Like, I have trouble just going out and talking to people.
Yeah.
Whether it was because of COVID or just because, it's as easy as texting someone or calling someone.
You guys don't even call each other.
Even then, we don't do that.
No.
So it's hard to make friends.
It's
and
weird.
It's hard to not feel lonely because, nobody talks to anybody.
Yeah.
So unless you're making an effort to go out, whether that's just to eat dinner or go out to some event like a car show like we did last night, you're really just in a
vacuum.
Vacuum.
You're by yourself.
Yep, you're
Siloed.
by yourself.
Yeah, that's why Dad and I have always talked about how we wish she could have grown up like we did in our day and time. Like, we didn't have social media, granted, that they caught everything that we've done. I mean, I know some of the viewers will remember me and my sister taking my dad's patrol car on Christmas Eve and singing Christmas carols with the lights on and the through the PA system, sirens and all, in my little town. You can't do that stuff today without getting some sort of record attached to you or thrown in jail for 24 hours or something silly.
Yeah.
But just going cruising like every Friday, Saturday night. Of course, I'm from small town, so we didn't have anything else really to do, but we got into a lot of trouble and had a lot of fun doing it.
Yeah.
And I wish you guys still had that opportunity to like learn from those mistakes. Just go out and have fun and and be with friends and, kind of cover for each other and all that good stuff. You guys haven't really had that type of a environment to grow up in.
No, you're always watched.
Yeah.
That sounds weird to say, but whether it's, your phone or some sort of rule or regulation, and
Censored
you
online.
think you might get away with something, but the next thing you know, you're being called to an administrator office. You're like, nope.
Yeah, for something as
not.
simple as sticking sticker on your laptop that maybe may have offended somebody in the classroom. Like, it was pretty insane, some of the stuff that her friends had to deal with. And even like my family members, my young nephews growing up, and graduating through high school and stuff, and some of the things that they had to deal with. Like, it's just insanity.
Yep. Well, something as simple as grabbing breakfast and going to your classroom. Like, when you first go into the school, they keep you all in the cafeteria. You're not just allowed to go to your first starting class of the day, which is stupid because next thing you know, you got a bunch of late students, and then it's like, well, why'd that happen? I don't know, maybe because they're all socializing in the cafeteria.
In the cafeteria.
Let them go to their first class period.
Yep. So for the last 3 questions, I think they're pretty important. So if you need a little bit not a couple minutes, obviously we don't want dead silence on a podcast, but if you need some time to kind of think through on them. If you could create a law, any law, that everyone on earth had to follow, what would it be and what would you want it to accomplish?
What people should already be doing is following the Constitution.
Yes.
But the government has put out more laws by finding holes that make it so you don't necessarily have to follow all of that, which sucks.
Yeah. I mean, they haven't amended anything directly to the Constitution that I can think of on top of my head, but they're definitely trying. Yeah. They are definitely making people feel uncomfortable about possibly losing our rights. So yeah, I agree. And of course, you always hear about gun control and abortion, and those are always hot topics during an election year. But yeah, and I also think something that you hit on earlier is if you could just have, not necessarily make it a law, but like maybe a really strong suggestion is just have everybody to be able to let everybody feel loved by someone or feel love or like they have a purpose to their life. I think that would make life so much more happy for everybody, just feeling loved. Okay, so what's your favorite thing about your dad? The man behind the screen.
He's a pretty go with the flow kind of guy. If people don't get that from him right off the bat when meeting him, because he's always got this, stoic, strong alpha man vibe around him, but he's more go with the flow than you are.
Yeah.
Not that that's a bad thing. You guys balance each other out, but, he's always the one, why don't we go eat? Why don't we go
do this?
Why don't we go buy some new shoes or get that new Xbox that's coming out? Things like that.
Yeah, he is. And he's one of those humble figures that doesn't like give himself enough credit because he's ways beyond his years. And I don't know, maybe that's something I direct to him on his podcast, but I think he's too humble sometimes. But I'm also a big fan, so if you could give... I'm a little biased. He's my, what do they call it these days? A crush?
I don't know what you're trying to refer to.
When Reese has a crush, I can't remember what she calls it. No matter what, I'm sure we'll have it. I'll remember it in the middle of one podcast at some point. If you could give... Oh, no, that was one of the questions I already asked. If you could give one person every person in the world a gift, what would it be and why? And I kind of said that with love for everybody. And I think that's probably something that you would have said, but I'll let you answer that.
Yep. Some sort of truth, some sort of love, a truth to cut through fake media, and love to make sure that people know that there are people who care.
Yeah.
There are people who are willing to do everything they can to help.
And you're not alone.
And that you're not alone.
And the other thing I would say to that too is if somebody's struggling, be a true friend and be there for them. I think we lack that in our world today. Everybody's kind of more selfish than they are selfless. And if you know somebody's truly struggling with something, you should try to be there for them as much as you can be. Try to make a difference in somebody's life to the positive aspect instead of letting things be so negative all the time. Or they'll take care of themselves type of thing. So it's not always true. Some people are reaching out because they really need help. And this world is lonely right now. I think for everybody. I think it feels really weird, topsy-turvy. Like, where's our normal? What is our normal? Are we ever going to get back to normal? And everybody gets caught up in the, all the negative stuff happening and forgets to maybe still remember there's good things happening too.
Yep.
Is there any other questions or anything?
Not for me, no.
Well, I think that we have probably covered everything. So thank you guys for listening. We will get back with you on a schedule for our future podcast, and we hope you continue tuning in. Thanks so much, guys. Bye.
Bye.